Hello, and welcome back to the Spa Business Mastery Podcast. I'm so glad you're here. So, today's topic is about virtual skin coaching and why I think it's the next big niche for med spas and skin therapists. Now, let's talk about that and why I feel so strongly about this new revenue stream that became much more available to us. Actually, it became available to us quite a while ago, quite a few years ago, with all the technology that is now available. But it became new to us when COVID hit because all of a sudden it was the only option for skin therapists and med spas to be able to serve their clients. So before I dive into why I feel like it's online skin coaching or virtual skin coaching is the next big niche for our industries, I want to talk back up the bus and talk a little bit about why and how we got to this place and why it's actually an amazing option for skin therapists and med spas to be very serious about this particular revenue stream. Okay, so first we need to talk about what traditionally happens for spa businesses, med spas, skin therapists. So traditionally in our industry, the focus has been on giving hands-on, in studio, in spa, in clinic services. So with our clients, we've spent, like, I've been in this industry for almost 30 years, and it's been like this since I've been in it, where the value and the focus has been placed on giving hands-on services. Now, if you are a spa owner and have been a spa owner for some time, you already know that if you were to only rely on your services for revenue, that is really, really problematic because it's just not enough to pay the bills or to actually make a profit. And so because we're not in business, we're not a nonprofit, we need to make sure that we have some earning happening, not just to pay out our labor costs and our overhead, but so that you have a profit, so that the owner is able to take a draw and you're not just kind of working to give everybody else a job or working just to make sure your clients have beautiful skin. We want to make sure that all the stuff that you've put into your business, the blood, sweat, tears, money, that you are rewarded for that. So the problem I'm getting back to here, the problem being is that offering services only, we know that it's not an option. And so in the spa industry, in the skin therapy industry, we've always had to make sure that our teams, and if it's ourselves for solos, that we have a really strong retail sales kind of system going on, because it's the retail that is the scalable part in our business. Now, when I talk about scalable or scalability, what I'm talking about is being able to earn more without having to book more time, right? Now, with spa services, we run out of time. We can only be open so many hours in a day. We're often limited by our human resources as far as labor, if we have a team, or if it's just us and we're a solo, we're limited by how many hours we can work. So this is problematic. So we have to make sure that we are balancing, making sure that we're really booked and fully booked, but that we're also taking care of these retail sales needs as well. So the problem is that once you've built up your business and you've built up a team and you can't fit in any more people, how are you going to earn more money? Okay, so this is kind of traditionally what's been happening. So the only option that we have is really to get better at educating and selling so that we can make bigger revenues. All right. Okay. Now let's talk about the problem with selling spa services or having the bulk of our business be giving services. So we've already determined that, building a clientele, it gets you to this kind of ceiling. It's not so much of a glass ceiling. You really do hit your head on it and you can see it coming. So we already determined that once you built up your clientele, you don't have any more earning potential other than retail sales. The other problem with in only, valuing and putting a lot of value, especially with clients, on in-person services is that your overhead costs are really high. So not only do you have the cost per treatment, which is, the cost of the products that you're using, any kind of disposables that you're using, but it's also the labor costs, and not just the hourly, but what you have to pay for workman's WorkSafe, or what you have to pay for your labor taxes. So all of those expenses, as a spa owner, if you've done your, if you know your cost analysis, you know that there's not that much money in terms of profitability when it comes to in-person treatments. And finally, as far as the problems with focusing on in spa or in clinic services, is your service providers. It's exhausting. You know this as a service provider. You know this if you have been in the treatment room and built up your clientele, and maybe you now have a team, but you remember how exhausting it is to be, full-time, fully booked with clients. It's just not sustainable. It's not a sustainable career plan. And the reason why that's not sustainable, if you haven't experienced it already, is that giving services is physically really draining. And a lot of us have, whether it's carpal tunnel, we've got chronic neck and shoulder pain, we've got chronic back pain. And then, those are just the physical symptoms, never mind the kind of the emotional stuff that comes along with it. So just the, poor sleep patterns, because you're really stressed, you're really busy, because not only do you have work, but you have your own personal life too. And you probably have a family and all of that stuff that needs. So, not being able to sleep at night, and, having low patience with maybe your team or clients or your kids or your partner. Depression and anxiety are really common in this industry when we're feeling burnt out. And we get burnt out because we end up staying too long giving hands-on services is what happens. So yeah, the spa industry can really chew us up and spit us out if we're not careful. So now now that we've talked about what's traditionally happens in the spa industry in terms of earning potential, I've talked about what happens to our bodies. I've talked about what happens to our bottom line in terms of profitability. So now let's talk about what has happened in the past year and a bit in terms of COVID. So we have the way we used to do things and why we did them that way. So now COVID hits, and all of a sudden, nobody can come in for in-person hands-on treatments. It is not an option. Now, for some of us, that option lasted a very, very long time. Now, the beauty of what actually happened, so yeah, it was absolutely horrible. We all got shut down. The whole globe got shut down for a period of time. And yeah, it was really stressful, but it was really interesting what happened, especially for our industry. And we had a major global disrupt in terms of how consumers spend their money, how consumers interact and engage with businesses online, because it was their only option. Now, the skin therapy businesses that chose to adapt during COVID, what they did was started shifting. They took their in-person services and looked at a way and how they could shift it over into an online offer. Now, what that looked like was simply having a virtual skin consultation, just like you would if somebody walked in off the street into your spa and started asking about, looking at the products in your wall and started asking about cleansers and exfoliants. It's that kind of complimentary chat, asking a few questions, not really getting into the details of too much, but just having a little bit of a consultation with a skin therapist who is educated about skin and who knows their product knowledge. We also saw some skin therapists and med spas adding virtual facials. So like a facial kit, and sending them out to their clients with a, whether it was a little video tutorial that they could watch to do it themselves, or whether it was a written instructions. And then others have had offers of one-on-one facials. So the client gets the facial kit and they do the facial with the esthetician on Zoom. So that was a little bit more personalized, and the clients got to have a little fix with their skin therapist. And then there was others that, went even farther and were offering virtual skin parties, for groups of friends and or sisters or loved ones, as well as corporate parties. So, there were some spas and skin therapy businesses that were able to do the COVID shift. And what they discovered, this is the beauty of it. What they discovered is that they actually didn't have to work as hard as they normally did in the treatment room when they were doing virtual services. They discovered that they were able to use their skills, their knowledge in a virtual way and share that information and still be able to get their clients the skin outcomes with product only. Now, I know that there are many skin therapists and med spas who also are starting the shift from getting their clients to only value in clinic treatments and instead valuing the fact that if you have a really solid home care, one that is well thought out and done by a professional skin therapist, that you can get, like 80, 90% of your outcomes just with your home care products and then using in-clinic treatments as kind of the icing on the cake. So, so what happened in the spa business side is that, many of you discovered that online skin coaching, you were able to, have that purpose and it filled you up for what you were passionate about. And it allowed you all of a sudden to experience it in a way that didn't exhaust you and actually earned you more money because you were more profitable that way. You didn't have the overhead costs. Now, I know some of you were all paying overhead at the time, but when you think about this and break it down, you could decide to shift into a full online skin coaching business and not have any kind of in like a clinic that they go to. There's lots of options with this. Okay, so we talked about the benefits and the bonuses of COVID and virtual skin coaching for our industry. But on the flip side, for consumers, something else happened. It's been reported that e-commerce has advanced by 5 years due to COVID. It forced people to use online services and that kind of thing in a completely different way because they were forced to. Now, many people are now just more comfortable and willing to experience those services online. There's lots of benefits, like as far as online skin coaching, like they don't have to drive there. I know for myself, I'm super busy and I hate driving in traffic. So I would rather have a Zoom call to go over my skincare rather than having to spend a half hour to drive there and a half an hour to drive back. Sometimes we have clients who it's just more convenient for them. Maybe, maybe they have kids and it's just going to be too much of a gong show to get, find somebody to take care of the kids. Or by the time the partner comes home, then you're not open to be talking, to have an appointment. There's a lot of, how we consume and how we want to buy things has totally changed due to COVID. So now, why I believe that virtual skin coaching or online skin coaching is the next big niche for our industry is because these two things are converging. The spa industry is ready. You have the technology, you have the instruction, you have the knowledge of how to move your skin business into a virtual arena. You have that ability to do that. And consumers are ready to do that as well because they're used to purchasing in a different way since COVID. So now is a time that's really right, even though we are opening up the world again. As of this recording, what's July 2021, the world is definitely reopening. And yes, many people would like to be coming in for in-person services, but this is a place where you get to decide. Maybe you want to adjust. So for example, I have one of my clients who is in California, and California was shut down for a really, really, really long time. At the end of the year, her accountant got back to her and she, in a COVID year where she was closed, I think around 6 months, she earned $88,000 in sales. And she was closed for 6 of those months, unable to do services. So that was primarily retail sales. It also gave her the realization that there was, she had a client who worked in the corporate world. She had connections in the corporate world. And so she just started offering, just kind of fun parties. These companies were closed or they were still open and just wanting to help their team members, because they can't come into work, feel more connected. And having a virtual skin party was one of those ways. So she's been open, but she's now decided that, there's our days of the week that she's dedicating only to her online skin therapy business. The other few days a week, she has her clinic open, but she's discovered that this model is much more sustainable for her. And the other spa owners that I've talked to and skin therapists that I've talked to and worked with, and with virtual skin consultations and virtual skin services, have found they've found and discovered and happily discovered that there's a new way that they can earn money. It's a new revenue stream that they can generate sales. So, when we've got this coming together of, two groups, the spa industry, skin therapists, and consumers, everything's ready for this. And it's now so easy to shift your skin therapy business into more of an online skin coaching business. So if this is, kind of perked your interest, and all of a sudden, your brain is thinking, how can I do this? If you don't want to start from scratch in terms of, putting on a virtual skin consultation onto your menu, last summer, I created a virtual skin consultation toolkit for you. And it really just walks you through step by step how to it's all put together for you. You literally just have to copy and paste it and put it on your website, as well as go through the short training to just see and understand how this virtual system can work. There's a whole sequence of emails, follow-up emails for clients to try to capture more retail sales. So there's lots of info in there, and the step-by-step way to set up a virtual skin consultation, as well as the protocol for it. So if you want to teach your team how to do this, all of that training is in there for you. And the link will be in the podcast show notes for you. So you can head over to kirstenfoss.com and the podcast when it's published, and you'll find that link for the virtual skin consultation toolkit in there. Now, if you are a skin therapist who has done the COVID pivot and you you're really putting a lot of effort into your virtual online skin coaching revenue stream, I'd love to hear about what your experience is. This is like a wide open revenue stream, my friends, and it is ripe for hopping on as an early adopter. Okay, that's it for me for today's Spa Business Mastery podcast. Thanks for joining me. If you liked what you were hearing, I would love it if you would leave a review. And if you would like more information and you would like to get notified about when every podcast is published, then go to kirstenfoss.com and you scroll down that homepage. There is a place for you to sign up for that particular email list. All right, take care, and we'll see you next time.